In Chapter 6, page 155, you'll find a section entitled Elementary Schools. Elementary schools often include the primary grades of pre-K 3 or K 3 plus 4th, 5th, and or 6th grades. In some states and districts, they span grades K 8. You'll find still some of the K 8 schools, and they'll be in smaller districts where the enrollment is a lower number. A lot of the times. State licensure or certification for teachers may cover only the primary or upper elementary grades, or K6 or K8. Right now, you're being offered K6. I actually was offered 1st through 8th and did an add-on of kindergarten. Most elementary teachers work in self-contained classrooms with 20 to 30 or more students who move to the next grade with a different teacher at the end of a school year. If you're in K3, they'll usually try to keep the numbers lower, that teacher-student ratio. I've had as high as 36 sixth graders in a room before, and we didn't have aides at that time. So, in some schools, teachers team teach with specialists in mathematics, science, reading, language arts, and social studies. Someone else is in there to maybe an assistant of some kind, or a coach of some kind. I know in Hamilton County we have reading coaches, and they come in and team teach with some of the teachers. Some schools have resource teachers who work with classroom teachers to accommodate students with special needs related to reading, mathematics, English, or a disability. That's part of the inclusion. I'm sure you're getting that in SPED 2010 and figuring out how all that is working. Some schools practice looping, in which teachers remain with the same student for 2 or 3 grades. That's the definition for looping. You're going to see that on your review notes later on. Looping is when teachers remain with the same students for 2 or 3 grades. I've often thought I would like to try that. I've never been in a school where that happened. I can see positive and negatives. The positives on my part would be not have to reteach the rules, the expectations. The parents would already know what to expect, how I run my business, what I expect out of the students, what I expect out of the parents. And so you wouldn't have to spend that beginning of every year retraining or rebuilding or teaching them the 21 days of making or breaking a habit. That would all be over. Now, when I think about that, what if my child had an ineffective teacher and was going to have that ineffective teacher for 3 years? All right, then that's a horse of a different color. I'm concerned. So I don't know if we did some kind of looping, we probably would need a little closer rubric on what's expected of the teacher and what he or she should be doing. Elementary schools are more impacted by state testing than other levels because students in grades 3-8 are assessed annually. So there's lots more tests and lots more assessments will be given in those grades. Research finds that a student who has a good teacher for 3 to 4 years in a row will have a much better chance than other students of being academically successful through his or her school career. That's common sense to me. The question for me is, how do we make sure our students are getting an effective teacher for 2 or 3 or 4 consecutive years? A study by Annie E. Casey Foundation found that students who were reading at a grade level at the end of the 3rd grade, reading on grade level at the end of the 3rd grade, were more likely to finish high school. Also, the research says if you're not reading on grade level by 3rd grade, you're probably never going to be reading on grade level. So 3rd grade is a very important grade. If you teach 3rd grade, you make sure that you're doing all you can to help these students.